So I love how some websites you can really have a good search, like Newegg. I think has a really good, things are divided up well. DigiKey, pretty cool, you know, stuff like that. And Mauser has pretty good. I even think McMaster Car is pretty good too. But you know, some websites just have excellent categorization of their stuff, and other places have too much shit, and it just gets lost. So, for instance, I don't know who works on this. I had a chance to work, you know, kind of with some Amazon engineers during the pandemic when they were trying to make those face masks and stuff like that, and you know, they use real high-end tools, and they're real smart folks, you know, and this is no slight on them. I'm sure they got a million things to do. Okay, so, and that was a really cool thing to help all our medical workers, you know, in any capacity. So that was pretty cool, you know. But, you know, the makers are using Fusion 360 and they're using CATIA and stuff like that. So there was like, you know, they explained it to me like, it's like us using JPEG and them using, vector, everything's vector, so it can be sized and scaled and better, you know, and it doesn't lose resolution or something like that, you know, just as a matter of, you know, comparison. So this one here is funny because I'm literally looking for some DC micro switches, right? Because we use them all the time in the race cars and stuff like that, and I was just like curious. I was like, well, you know, I can never find something with a good high amperage rating DC micro switch, and sometimes you still need that kind of stuff in automotive or racing, where you're keeping stuff simple for guys that are, you know, race car drivers and chassis guys and stuff like that. They don't have time to like deal with like Schmidt triggers and little boxes, and they don't want to pay $50 to MSD for solid state switches and then run, you know, other, you know, some people just don't need to understand all how relays and all that stuff works. All they want is a goddamn switch, okay? So here's the deal, you know, and there really aren't a lot of options, I'll say, because, you know, usually it's a run down to the parts store and it's always the same couple types of switches. They're like a bus starter switch is one of the big ones, and it's really hard to push. And then there's a couple of other ones that usually show up at your local parts store. So anyway, you know, and we know like B&M shifters and TC, different shifters have micro switches, so you can run your starter solenoid wire through. So like if you're not using a Ford solenoid, it's got to directly power the solenoid on the starter, which uses more amperage. So, and maybe I could do some tests on that. That's not a big deal. We've done it before. I've measured every voltage drop across our race car from the battery to everything, you know, every run of wire, and made sure they're within, you know, proper specifications so we don't have problems. Because I used to run those Ford solenoids, but I don't anymore because I run enough grounds, and there's ways you don't have to run it if your car is properly wired. So, and I don't imagine GM puts Ford solenoids in their race cars. That would, you know what I'm talking about, the big heavy solenoids. They're on farm implement. They're on everything. And anyway, and they're great because they're still cheap and they work good, but it's another component, you know, so you got another thing to fail, another thing for a guy at the track to be trying to diagnose. We just want a good, solid switch. So anyway, I get on Amazon and I ramble for 4.5 minutes, and this is really what this is about. If I pull this up and you're looking up switches and you're like, well, let me pick all the switches, you know, 50 volt, and I just, on the first one I clicked for this, and like, did you find what you're looking for? And it's like, hell no. It's like, there's no way these switches are gonna be what I want. I guess it's 50 volt DC rated, but And my knowledge of switches is like, well, I don't know if that's PoE injector handling or something. I don't know, or if they just, I don't even know where that picks up 120 watt power budget. So maybe they're for, you know, because they have the PoE injectors. But really we're just looking for a switch, because the minute you get rid of that, let me see, can I click back? Yeah. You get switches that look like what you're looking for. You know, you get all kinds of different switches. But the minute I picked DC rating, it's like, no, though I don't think those switches in this context should ever be part of part of those results. So I always think that's really funny. And I mean, incomplete stuff, you know, like people are more, and I get it, we're rapid prototyping culture now, we're getting stuff rolled out, but definitely not that helpful. And I'm sure it will be possibly in the future. Let's be hopeful. Let's you know, regardless of what we're all trying to do, everybody makes mistakes. So I'm not here to pick one out. I'm sure they got 100 of these. Have a good day.